Egusi soup in itself cannot be totally oilless. You know why? Because the melon seeds, as we know, contain some oil in it already. But if you're looking to reducing the amount of oil in this soup, you want to skip palm oil or you want to skip every other oil in the soup, this is definitely a method you would want to give a try. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Afrofood Diary. My name is Geraldine and I make recipe videos from Norway. A very big shout out to Juliet of Julie's CT for this wonderful idea I'm about to share with you guys here. This is egusi soup, so melon seeds, egusi is our #1 ingredient. Here I have oxtail already cooked and set on this rack for grilling. On the other side I have some fresh stock fish. It came in a block and all I had to do was cut it into those 4 pieces. I'll be grilling that as well. Here I have the stock from the boiled oxtail, which I will be using for this cooking. Over here I've got some thoroughly washed bitter leaves, and it's already chopped into tiny pieces, as you can see. Okay, so the next important thing for this cooking is turmeric powder. I mentioned we're not going to be making this soup with palm oil, so we have in there about 2 teaspoons of turmeric. I may be using more, I may be using less as we cook along. Over here I've got my crayfish equivalent. You can click on the card above, or at the end of this video I will show you how this was prepared. So this is meant to be our crayfish in the diaspora. Over there I've got some habanero pepper. It was blended and frozen, reason you are seeing it blocked like this. Okay, so I have more of the crayfish over there should I need more. One last thing we need is seasoning cube. Okay, of course I had steamed my meat with just seasoning cube with salt and some onions, just something very basic, okay, so that I can use it for other stuffs as well. Okay, so I'll pop this in the oven now to grill while we start with the rest of the process. And before I forget, I had also diced up a bulb of purple onions here. So in this pot, heating over medium heat, as you can see from the smoke, I poured in the blended egusi. I washed my egusi and wet blended it, reason it's in that form. But if yours is in the powdered form, then you go ahead with the same process. But you can see that I added no oil to this pot. What I'm doing now is just to toast it over medium heat. So to the egusi I added half of the onions I sliced up, and I'll continue to stir these on this medium heat for a couple of minutes, say 2 to 3 minutes. Then while I do that, I'll go in and scoop about a full teaspoon of the turmeric powder. This is serving as our oil, as you can see, and you see that beautiful color. Julie City made on her soup with turmeric to add color to it, and I decided to do the same thing to this egusi soup and see what the result could be like, and it was wowing. So you want to go gradually with the turmeric and add gradually and check until you get the color you want. You can have something very light, but if you want it very popping, you can add a little bit more. Turmeric is a very beneficial spice. It has anti-inflammatory properties and a whole lot of other benefits you can read up on your own. So that makes a great substitute for oil in this recipe, even though the taste of the palm oil will be missing. So I will add that cake for I covered it to cake for about 10 minutes over low heat this time, and you can see it's forming into a beautiful egusi cake. I gave it another 3 to 5 minutes, and this is what we're having over here. So make sure to stir at intervals and keep an eye on this. Keep your 2 eyes actually, so it doesn't get burnt, Remember, there's no oil and you want to stir as often as possible to prevent it from burning. So at this point, which is like after about 12-15 minutes of letting it cake, I went in to add the habanero pepper I showed us earlier. Yeah, feel free to use as much pepper as you can tolerate in your regular egusi soup. So I'll cover it again to steam up for a few minutes, and you can see it has caked very well. I'll go on at this point and introduce our stock, like the stock we cooked out of the oxtail. So the amount of fluid you add to this depends on how you love your egusi. If you want it very dry, then be sure to use less. But if you want it very diluted, you can use more fluid. But I like mine somewhere in between. So next I added the crayfish alternative in my case, but here you can add your own crayfish, like the regular Niger crayfish. And then I added a little bit more turmeric to add a little bit more color to this here, guys. So I'll stir that in very well and cover it to steam up for about 5 minutes on somewhere between low and medium heat. So, and of course, since there's no oil, you will not see any oil float on top, but I guess you spot that water floating on top. Yeah, that is showing that your egusi has cooked long enough. So I added the onugbu at this point. Remember, the onugbu was chopped up. Onugbu is my best vegetable for egusi soup, but you can sure use ugu, you can use spinach or any vegetable available to you. I prefer onugbu. So I'll stir that in very well, and I'll be covering it to cook for another 5 minutes. Okay, we want to make sure that this egusi is properly cooked and not half done, otherwise you wouldn't like the taste. So after the 5 minutes, I stirred it in once again, and this became the perfect time to add the grilled oxtail at this point. Look at those oxtail, gorgeously grilled. So once I transfer that, I'll go in and also transfer the grilled fresh stockfish. Feel free to use any protein of your choice for this recipe. You can use beef, you can use fish, like whatever you normally make your egusi soup with. Please feel free to do that. I have a fresh stockfish and I grilled it alongside the oxtail, and that is what I used for this recipe. So once those are in, I'll give it a quick stir, like you can see, being careful not to break up the grilled fish. So afterwards, I think the consistency was a bit too thick for me, so I added a little bit more water, but you do what you prefer. Okay, so I'll give that another gentle stir, and then I'll be covering it up so that everything can melt into each other on very low heat. Like the highest on my cooker is 9, and I'm doing this on 4. So I'll cover it for just about 3 to 5 minutes extra on low heat, just so everything will simmer and combine together. After 3 to 5 minutes, voila, our egusi soup, our oilless egusi soup, our turmeric egusi soup is ready. Please hit the like button for this video, give me a thumb up, and share the video with friends who want to make soups without oil. Thank you, Julie City, for this wonderful turmeric idea, and thank you guys for hanging on as always. Have a beautiful day and bye.